video, we'll go over some of the features of Excel that you may be familiar with, but perhaps are not. Some of the tools that I found useful. So to begin with, let's say that we wanted to do a net present value problem. You'll have you have done these in the past, and you'll have opportunity to do these in the future, but we'll just put in some column headings here, period, payments, receipts or revenues that we were going to get in, net revenues, the discount factor, and then present value. And I forgot to put in my initial cost perhaps, so I can go over here, click on a row number, and then go to the insert menu and hit insert row. I also have my computer set up so I can do a keyboard shortcut of Control I believe. But that would be something that you would have to customize in your system. Now if you then click on this row, you'll notice here that some of the column headings are truncated, so we can go Command 1 will allow us to format these cells, and in particular what we want to do here is format the alignment. So we want our horizontal alignment to be centered, and then we want to wrap the text so that it looks a little prettier. And then you might want to change the font. You might want your headings to be bold, and you might want to put some border underneath your headings. That's as you get more experienced at this, if you haven't done it in the past, you want to do things that make your presentation more attractive. So let's assume that your initial cost is $1,000, and your interest rate is 10%. Okay. Now we can click on column A there and make that a little wider so that we have can see interest rate. And then what I normally like to do is name my terms. And so if I block off that group of cells, I can go up here under Insert and say Name, and I want to create names. And in this case, I could either use the top row or the left column, and Excel takes a guess at what I'm going to do and uses the left column there. So I say, okay, we'll use those. I hit OK, and now when I click on that cell, up here you'll see in your toolbar, it shows you what cell you're in. You are in a cell that is titled Initial Cost. So that's handy when I'm trying to find problems that I have in a spreadsheet. So here I want to start with period 0 or period 1, and maybe I want to go to 10 periods out. And in this case, the simple way to do it is to go under the Edit menu and Fill, and then pick Series. And I want to put the series in a column. If you don't click that, it will automatically assume that you want to put it in a row. I want to have a linear series. It's going to have a step value of 1. It's going to start at 1, the number in my first cell there, and I want to have a stop value of 10. So I hit OK, and it fills those cells like that. And let's assume that in each period I have a payment of $200. Now here, what I can do is I can block off these cells and go under Edit and Fill and go Fill Down. So that will put that value of 200 in there. I could also have copied and pasted all that in there, and I'll show that here in the next example. And maybe I have receipts of let's say $350 per period. And so here, if I wanted to use a copy and paste, I could go Command C on my computer. I'm using a Mac here, so the keyboard commands are a little bit different. You would use Control C on an IBM based machine, and then Control V, and that fills in $350 in there. Either way, you can do either a fill down or copy and paste. And then I'm going to do the same trick I did before. I'm going to define these cells. Actually, I'm going to stop that, and I'm going to define all of these cells here. Give each column a name. Go under Name, Create, and in this case I want the top row, so I hit OK. Okay, so in net revenues, I want this to equal receipts minus payments. And Excel automatically goes out and gets the corresponding values for those named columns out of the row that I'm in. And I can, here I want to say, all right, I'm going to take my net revenues. Well, my discount factor is going to be equal to 1 divided by 1 plus my interest rate raised to the period that I am in. So that would compensate for the compounding. If you don't understand the formula right now, we'll get to that later. And then my present value is going to equal my net revenues. Oh, I misspelled that, so that's a problem, times my discount factor. And I hit return there. Now then, I can take this and I can fill down so that these formulas will populate the rest of the columns. And the way I can do that is to hit Control D. And that is the keyboard shortcut for fill down. Then, in this case, I say, okay, I need to figure out what my net present value is. So I put net present value here. I could put that up at the top. It would probably be more appropriate for presentation purposes, but here we just say equals the sum of present value. And hit return, and it gives me $921. I'm sorry, this isn't the net present value, this is the total. Then I can take and figure out my net present value is going to be equal to, if you hear the phone ringing there, you can ignore that because that's what I'm doing. My initial cost subtracted from, I screwed up on my formula, but I can click down here, my total minus my initial cost, and I see that my net present value is negative. Okay. Now, if I wanted to make this a little prettier, I could do that. I can format these cells, give the numbers some characteristics that are probably more conducive to reading, put a comma separation in there, something like that. And then I could specify, let's do the same thing for this. I can do repeat format cells like that. Then I can go here, one more time, repeat format cells. Control Y will usually do that for you, depending on how your computer's set up. And then, last but not least, I could go here under print area and specify that this is the area that I want printed when I print up the document. And that way, if I have formulas somewhere else over on this side of the screen, for example, that don't need to be printed, I can avoid printing those. So, that's a little rundown of some of the features of Excel that should be helpful to you.